Hey everyone, it's Benny. We have a pretty lackluster week right now in terms of money making. There's a lot of discounts though, and overall it gives me a feeling that Rockstar really, really wants us buying shark cards. But this week can be salvaged. There are two pretty decent ways to make money this week if you are a new player. Now, you may be thinking casino heist, but we can always do a casino heist. That's nothing new. But there are two good ways to make money right now if you want to go with the theme of the event week, or if you are a new player. Now, you will make decent money, but it's not going to be anything like the casino heist. Like right now, as it exists, until the DLC releases, and even that's a maybe, there's really nothing like the casino heist. But if you are a new player, don't fret. There are two ways that I've come up with where you can make decent money, and you can still save up for the heist before the DLC releases. Now, first off, contact missions. Obviously, contact missions are something that's tried and true. And this week specifically, Gerald's missions are on double money. And that's a huge win. Now, there's two things you really need to know about these contact missions. One, don't rush them. You're paid according to the time you spend, regardless if it's 10 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. The way that pay on contact missions works is you're paid more the longer you take, up to about 15 minutes. It's a ratio. So if you take 2 minutes, you're not really going to be paid that well. You'll be paid like, what, a few thousand? If you take like 6 or 8 minutes, you're usually paid around 30,000. That's really the time marker you want to hit. It's where you keep a pace, but you still take your time. If you take the full 15 minutes, you usually get paid around 50 or 60,000. But I recommend just going around like 6 or 8 minutes. That's usually how long it takes if you use like a normal civilian car. Like as you can see right now, me and my friend are doing this with a Zentorno. And, we're just using a regular car, taking our time. And you'll be paid pretty fairly well. Just take your time, go about the mission just go about it as if you were in free mode. Relax. They're easy to do. Keep in mind, these missions were made for new players. Another thing worth mentioning is that there's a mission you want to avoid called End Product. That is a really difficult mission, regardless if you're a new player or if you're a veteran player. It's a really difficult mission because there's tons of enemies, you fight them on all fronts, and you can't use a weaponized vehicle because you might risk blowing up the truck. It's just a really badly designed mission, and I recommend you pick any mission aside from that. In fact, I think the easiest mission is Make Ends Meet, because it's close quarters, and if you have like a shotgun of any sort, you're pretty well off. And just that's about it. They're easy missions. Like I said, they're made for new players. And back in the day, we used to grind these missions back to back. This was how we made our money. So that's it. This is probably, I think, the best way if you just want money. Like if you just want to make money, if you want to have to not worry about anything. Now they can get repetitive because there are only 6 of these missions, but the fact remains, you make around, if you go my method with just using a normal Civic car and taking your time, you'll usually get around 30 to 40,000 per mission. So this is just good if you want to make money, and that's it. Now the second way of making money is, in my opinion, way more fun but a little more niche: racing. Now let's face it, all of us have, scrounged up what little money we could to buy that one car, and this is where you can put that car to use. We all have that one car that we absolutely love, at least that one car. And, I always say, what's the point of having a bunch of money if you can't have fun with it? Well, in this case, not only do you get to actually use that expensive car you probably bought, you can make money with it. Now, that said, you don't have to spend a bunch of money, just on these races. In fact, it's actually impractical. But, all of us have cars. Everyone owns cars, and even if you don't, you can use the cars that the game gives you. Now, enough talk about cars, but basically, This is just it, racing. Now, there's a few things you need to know if you want to make these as fair as you can. One, non-contact. If you are the host, please enable non-contact. You'll be saving yourself so much stress. I made that mistake when I did this race. I was a host, I forgot to set the race to non-contact, and I already invited people, and I couldn't change it. Excuse me. But it can be really stressful because people will cheat in these races. You know, there will always be those cunts in these races that are going to try to knock you off the track. And it can get really stressful because you might lose a race where you're doing really well, but some dickhead just pushes you off the track. But aside from that, these are a lot of fun. And if you're a car guy like me, these can be really enjoyable. It's also a really good way to try out certain vehicles if you're on the fence about buying them. Because if you don't want to use your own custom cars, there are plenty of cars, depending on the class that's chosen, that you can use in the race. You know, like let's say you want to buy a Krieger. You know, so many people want the Krieger. This is a good way to test drive it because the game will let you use a stock Krieger and you can use it for the race. And granted, because the car is not maxed out, you will be at a disadvantage, but the game lets you use a selection of cars. You can also use custom vehicles in most of these races. So let's say you buy a car and you already upgraded it, well, you can use that in this race, or in all of these races. Most of them at least. Now, there's not much I can say about these races. All of them are very different. You have sports car races, and you have supercar races, you got muscle car races, etc. There's off-road races, there's urban races, there's races in the freaking ghetto, there's races everywhere around the map. Now, stunt races, avoid those. Stunt races are not on double money this week, so don't even bother with those. And these races can be a challenge, especially if you're going against people who know what they're doing. I actually made a guide yesterday on how to efficiently race, basically. So if you haven't already, go take a look at that. But that's just it. And like I said, this is a little more niche, but it is a lot of fun. It's also a good way to meet other people who are also into cars. But anyway, that concludes this video, and like I said, there's not a lot of money making to be done in this week, but it is still, you can still salvage it and you can still make a decent amount of money before an XCLC. But yeah, that's just it. I hope you found this at least helpful if you're looking for some way to make money this week. And if you did find it helpful, drop a like. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content. That's it for now. I'm out. Stay safe, guys.